So what's with all the mixed messages on real estate investing right now? Is it a good time to invest in real estate or is it not? It's so hard to tell, right? Well, stick around. I'll share why now is a great time to make more money even if you aren't an expert in real estate. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm just gonna get this out of the way. Is real estate a good investment for people right now? For most people, it's not. Absolutely not. Now, I know that might shock you, especially for a guy that is a real estate investor, but I'm gonna say this, is that for most people that try to do real estate investing, it's not. Why? Because most people, when they try to do real estate investing, they're doing it kind of ignorantly, for lack of a better word, right? They're just kind of trying it out. There's not really any real experience or wisdom behind what they're doing. For most people, when they think about buying real estate, they think about buying that house around the block, right? That house in your backyard or in the same town as what you're in or city. The truth is that in many, many places, real estate is not a good investment and it hasn't been for a while. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't make money in real estate, but when most people aren't real estate investors or they're not in the business of real estate, they're not gonna spend all this time trying to find the perfect property. And so what ends up happening is you end up finding a property that you think is just good enough. Usually you'll put way too much money into fixing it up. And then when you rent it out, you realize when you start doing the numbers, you're not really making any money. This is especially true even if you live on the western half of the United States like I do. I live in Utah, right? West Coast, even worse. But on the western half of the United States, prices have been very high, but rents haven't been as high. They haven't been keeping up with those prices. So what happens is you go and buy that property and you're like, yay, I've got a renter. Oh, but I'm still paying out of pocket to keep this property. They're not even paying my mortgage payment or barely paying my mortgage payment. Listen guys, if you're gonna do real estate investing, here's a key point for you. You wanna make sure you're making big profits. You wanna make sure you make good cash flow so that if something does go wrong, you've got a buffer, you've got extra savings built up from the profit of that property, because you never know what's gonna happen. You could have maintenance issues, you could have issues where you might have to, either you have to evict somebody or somebody just moves out and you have to naturally find another renter. And by the way, if you're the person doing your property management, your own property management, this probably isn't a good idea either. Because I'll tell you, the first time I bought a real estate property, I managed my own property because I was trying to save money, right? I wanted to keep more of my profits. The truth is though, is that I was a horrible property manager. I might have checked up on the property once or twice a year, if that. If they said they were gonna be late, I was like, okay, that's fine. I won't charge you the extra fee because I'm a good guy and I want you to know I care. I know how times can be when it's tough. And so I was a horrible property manager. No wonder that I didn't really make any profit on that property because I wasn't a good property manager. That's some of my best advice to you is, for you, it probably isn't a good idea to buy that property, and especially if it's in your own town or city, and if you live in the western half of the United States, that's probably true. Even if you live on the eastern half of the United States, it might not be a good deal either because you might not find the right deal for you. So what do you really need? You need education and connections. Education first. If you're gonna try to do this yourself, get educated. Learn how to do this right. I wish I'd done and gotten more education before I got into real estate. I got some, but I didn't get enough to truly experience it. I got enough that I realized after I did it wrong, I didn't want to do it the same way again. So you need good education and you need good connections. So if you're gonna do this yourself, connections are essential. Maybe having those great realtor connections, knowing you can find that right property. It might just be connecting with other real estate investors saying, hey, if there's a deal you don't want, pass it to me. See if I might want to take it myself. Maybe I want it. There's a lot of people out there called wholesalers that have lots of deals that come across their way that might be great for you. Even flippers. Sometimes people that are flipping properties might renovate it. Maybe you go in as a partner, you let them do the renovations, and maybe you guys can split some of the profits depending on how you do the deal. So you need education and you need those connections. Now, for those that do know what they're doing, it is always a good time to invest in real estate. Always. Now that might sound overly optimistic or too good to be true, but it's true. Because if you know what you're doing, you'll know when to say no to a bad deal and when to say yes to a good one. And the truth is that the great thing about real estate is even if there's a certain market, maybe a certain area, a state or a city, even if that area isn't good today, there's always gonna be somewhere else that's better. The United States is this massive, vast area of land and markets that you get to choose from that makes it so easy that even if you don't buy it in your backyard, which most of the time is not a good idea, there are other places around the country that are great. For me, for example, I generally buy my properties in the Midwest or the Southeast in specific markets where they have strong, good real estate, right? They have good markets, they have good jobs. Now, it's not just one company that hires everybody, right? You don't want the Las Vegas where it's just one industry, it's all entertainment or that kind of leisure activities. If that goes away, everybody's broke, right? You don't want that kind of one-horse town. You want a place that has multiple jobs, multiple industries that protects them in case one industry goes bad. You also want areas that really aren't hot. They aren't the hot markets. Like you hear the Phoenixes, places like Phoenix or in different places of Texas or places of Florida, even California, right? Those hot markets usually go cold very fast and can be high risk. I like the boring markets. To me, boring is sexy, right? At least that's what my wife tells me. Wait a minute, maybe she's talking about me. Anyways, boring is sexy, right? I like a sexy, boring markets because they always pay, and even if things go crazy in the country, they tend to just stay very stable. I like those stable, predictable markets. Now, if you want to make money in real estate, now is even a better time to do it, and you don't have to become an expert. That's the good news. You don't even have to be an expert. You don't have to get all the big education, but you might need connections to do that. If you don't want to have to become an expert in real estate investing, you need to have connections. You need to be connected to the right people. Now for me, I'm not an expert in all real estate all over the country in all these areas. No, but I have connections. I have different real estate investors in different pockets. For example, I love to use turnkey real estate companies that are in specific markets or in different markets around the country. Now, some of those companies right now, they don't have very good cash flowing properties, especially with high interest rates and things like that coming across. But there are some that do have good profits. And it rotates. Sometimes those markets are kind of cooling off. They're not great right now, but in a few years, they're the hot market. So I can rotate between them saying, hey, what are your guys' numbers looking like right now? The thing I love about turnkey real estate companies is one, I don't have to find the property. They find it for me. Two, I know exactly how much money I'm gonna make on that property even before I buy it. And then three is that they'll also help me property manage it. I don't have to deal with the tenants, the toilets, or the trash. They deal with all of that for me. I love it. And it's great because it allows me to be able to do what I do best, chatting with you guys here on YouTube, right? Allows me to do that while my money's working for me even while I sleep. And as Warren Buffett says, if you don't make money while you sleep, you'll make money until you die. And I don't want to do that, right? I love making money while I sleep. That's why I love having passive income. That's the best thing you can do for your situation right now. I'll tell you, I had a story of a client recently that they were doing their own real estate. They'd actually had a few properties that were there. It was good. They were making some money. But when we looked at it, we said, look, your return on equity, which means the equity you have in your property, what's the net profits you're making compared to the equity? Well, although they had a few rental properties, they had about $400,000 of equity in it, but they were only making about $1,200 a month. Now you might say, hey, $1,200 a month, that's great. And it is, that's good, but it's not great. Good is the enemy to great. That's what happens to people a lot of times. Many of the people we have that have done real estate investing before, they get complacent. They think that they're doing fine because they look at their original investment. They said, oh, it looks good for my original money that I put in. But then we see this $400,000 of equity sitting there doing nothing. So I said, listen, guys, this is a husband and wife. I said, if we sell these properties, take that $400,000 and put it into new properties, we can easily make at least $3,200, $3,300 a month instead of $1,200 a month. So guys, for no money extra out of pocket, you can make another $2,000 a month right now. And they're like, really? We can do that? Yes, especially if we don't invest in the markets you've been investing in, because your markets are, they're okay. So let's get that money out, sell those properties, do this tax-free 1031 exchange into those new properties so you pay no taxes on the sale or the profits you made, move it into the next properties, and now you're making tax advantage income from the cash flow because they're depreciating it. So you're still not paying much in taxes, if at all, on these new properties. And they did, and boost up their cash flow another $2,000 a month with no money out of pocket. Guys, that's an infinite rate of return just by using the money that was already there under their noses and didn't realize it. That is the power that you can have. And they didn't have to do that. They used a turnkey real estate company. They didn't have to find the properties. They were actually more hands-off than they were when they were property managing, trying to save or try to make $1,200 a month. Now they're hands-off, making $2,000 more than that per month doing the same thing. So guys, that's the cool thing, is that real estate investing is always a good time if you know what you're doing and if you have the right connections. If you think this is great and you're curious about more, let's find out if the real estate market is going to drop. Check out this next video right here.